Some endings are necessary, not because we want them, but because without them, growth would eventually become impossible. At first, this idea feels uncomfortable. We tend to associate endings with loss, disappointment, or even failure. When something ends, it often leaves behind a sense of emptiness, as if a part of our life has been taken away. However, this reaction, while natural, is also limited. It only captures one side of the truth. The other side, which is harder to see in the moment, is that endings are often the exact conditions required for transformation. Human beings are naturally attached to continuity. We prefer what is familiar, even when it no longer serves us. A predictable situation, even an unhealthy one, can feel safer than stepping into uncertainty. This is why people remain in relationships that no longer bring them joy, stay in jobs that slowly drain their energy, or continue habits that no longer align with who they are becoming. The fear is rarely about the ending itself. It is about the unknown that follows. What will life look like without this person, this role, or this identity? Who will I be when this part of my life is gone? These questions are difficult because they force us to confront something deeper than loss. They force us to confront change. And change, by its nature, requires us to let go of control. We cannot fully predict what comes next, and that lack of certainty creates resistance. As a result, we often try to delay endings, hoping that time will somehow fix what is already misaligned. But time does not fix everything. In many cases, it simply makes the misalignment more obvious. There is a quiet but important distinction between persistence and attachment. Persistence is the ability to continue despite difficulty when something still holds value and potential. Attachment, on the other hand, is the inability to let go even when something has clearly reached its limit. Understanding this difference is essential because not every struggle is meant to be overcome by staying. Some struggles are signals that it is time to move on. Endings often occur when a situation has already fulfilled its purpose in our lives. This purpose is not always obvious while we are experiencing it. A relationship may teach us about trust, communication, or self-worth. A job may develop our discipline, skills, or resilience. Even painful experiences can serve as powerful lessons, shaping the way we see ourselves and the world. But once that lesson has been learned, staying in the same situation can prevent further growth. What once helped us evolve can eventually begin to limit us. This is why endings are not random. They often appear at the moment when staying would cost us more than leaving. The difficulty is that we rarely recognize this moment immediately. Instead, we feel discomfort, confusion, or dissatisfaction without fully understanding why. We may try to ignore these feelings, hoping they will disappear. But they usually persist, growing stronger over time, until the ending becomes unavoidable. When an ending finally happens, it can feel abrupt, even if it has been developing slowly beneath the surface. This is because we tend to focus on the visible moment of change, rather than the invisible process that led to it. In reality, most endings are not sudden. They are the result of gradual shifts, changes in values, priorities, or emotional needs that we did not fully acknowledge at the time. One of the most challenging aspects of endings is that they often require us to release not only the situation itself, but also the version of ourselves connected to it. For example, ending a long-term relationship is not just about losing another person. It is also about letting go of the identity you had within that relationship. Similarly, leaving a job is not just about changing your daily routine. It is about redefining your sense of purpose and direction. This process can feel disorienting because identity provides a sense of stability. When that stability is removed, even temporarily, we may feel lost. However, this period of uncertainty is also where meaningful self-discovery takes place. Without the constraints of old roles and expectations, we are given the opportunity to redefine who we are on our own terms. Another reason why endings are necessary is that they create space. While this idea may sound simple, its implications are profound. As long as something occupies space in your life, whether it is a relationship, a commitment, or a belief, it limits what else can enter. If that space is filled with something that no longer supports your growth, it prevents new opportunities from emerging. In this sense, holding on too tightly can become a form of self-limitation. Creating space, however, is not a comfortable process. It often involves a period of emptiness where nothing immediately replaces what was lost. This emptiness can feel unsettling because it lacks structure and certainty. Yet it is precisely this openness that allows for new possibilities. Without space, there is no room for change. It is also important to recognize that not all endings come with clear explanations. Sometimes, we do not get closure in the way we expect. There may be unanswered questions, unresolved emotions, or a sense that something was left incomplete. While this can be frustrating, it also highlights an important truth. Closure is not always something we receive from external circumstances. In many cases, it is something we create for ourselves through acceptance. Acceptance does not mean that we fully understand or agree with what happened. It means that we acknowledge reality without constantly resisting it. It means choosing to move forward even when clarity is limited. This requires a certain level of emotional maturity, as it involves letting go of the need for perfect answers. Over time, as we gain distance from an ending, our perspective often changes. What once felt like a loss may begin to look like a turning point. We start to see how that ending redirected our path, introduced us to new opportunities, or helped us develop qualities we would not have otherwise gained. This shift in perspective does not erase the pain, but it gives it meaning. There is also a deeper lesson in learning to trust the process of life. Not everything that ends is meant to be replaced immediately, and not every ending leads to something better right away. Sometimes, the value of an ending lies in what it removes rather than what it brings. It removes distractions, misalignments, or limitations that were holding us back, even if we were not fully aware of them. In this way, endings act as a form of correction. They guide us back toward a path that is more aligned with who we are becoming. This does not mean that every ending is easy or clearly beneficial, but it does suggest that endings play a necessary role in shaping our journey. Ultimately, the idea that some endings are necessary challenges us to rethink our relationship with change. Instead of viewing endings as interruptions, we can begin to see them as transitions. They are not the opposite of progress. They are part of it. They mark the boundary between what was and what can be. Of course, understanding this concept intellectually is very different from experiencing it emotionally. In reality, endings will still hurt. They will still bring moments of doubt, sadness, and uncertainty. But within that discomfort lies the potential for growth. The next time you encounter an ending, it may help to pause and reflect rather than immediately resist it. Ask yourself whether this ending is creating space for something new, whether it is revealing a misalignment, or whether it is signaling that you have outgrown a certain phase of your life. These questions do not remove the difficulty, but they can provide a sense of direction. In the end, life is not defined by how well we avoid endings, but by how we respond to them. Endings are inevitable, but they are not meaningless. They are part of a larger process that shapes who we become. And while we may not always welcome them, we can learn to recognize their purpose. Because sometimes an ending is not simply something that takes away. It is something that makes growth possible in ways that staying never could.